What was the genesis of creating the Sangam Tirth in the middle of the desert?
That the UAE has the best buildings, the greatest infrastructure, and amazing urban planning. We will bring the holiest rivers of India to UAE.
Have you personally been to the Triveni Sangam and the Kumbh?
So I had the great experience of the Kumbh and the Holy Dip.
What you felt while being there?
Well, truly the numbers are mind-boggling, staggering, but experiencing the Kumbh is another ball game. It was ethereal. It was completely out of this world. It's a celebration of faith because I have seen it was like a perpetual moment, the immortal moment that never ends. At 3 o'clock in the morning, I saw thousands and thousands of people just walking like a flood of human river. It was a true democracy of faiths and beliefs. It's a celebration of faith. It's a celebration of equality, but it's also a celebration of devotion.
And truly seems like Hinduism in action, and there is a science behind it. So can you, for the benefit of our viewers, talk a bit about the science and what the Kumbh signifies?
Thousands of years ago, they predicted all these movements of the stars. They did not have telescopes. They did not have calculators. They did not have any systems. There must have been a system that connected their soul and the mind. So when the Rishi Munis gave us this formula, on the Kumbh day, you go to Triveni Sangam and you have a bath and you will feel really energized. You go and do it and you feel that. It's about cleaning your inside. And they're coming in with faith. I feel it's a massive cleansing of the human spirit. It's more than just a festival, that the Kumbh is not just limited to a ritual, not just a celebration. It's about celebrating human life, humanity, and it's a bridge between human beings and the divine. Those who have not been to the Kumbh, Triveni Sangam is there and the waters are holy. You can go anytime. Even during the year, you can go and take a holy dip with the same feeling and the same heart and the same condition. Of course, the weather may be cold, but your heart will be warm.
Jai Swami Brahmavihari Swami ji.
Jai Swami.
Welcome to the special BAPS podcast. It's a privilege to interact with you today, and thank you for sparing the time, Swami.
The privilege is mine, and I'm equally happy. And of course, this is sharing of ideas. So let's begin.
So Swamiji, today in the podcast, we'll discuss a variety of topics with you. But before that, I want to begin by indulging you for some time in one of the very fascinating experience I've had recently. I was at the BAPS Hindu Mandir in Abu Dhabi, and I saw how beautifully there you created the Sangam Tirth with the confluence of the Ganga, Yamuna and Saraswati. And what can I tell you about the Ganga Aarti that I experienced? It was a once in a lifetime experience, Swami. And I'm sure everyone who goes there just loves it. You've been part of the project, you've led the project, you've been part of conceptualizing the entire Mandir complex. So I want to know from you today, what was the genesis of creating the Sangam Tirth in the middle of the desert?
Call it Genesis or call it an amazing story, which has been interesting, inspiring and captivating. To be really truthful, the Ganga Aarti has become one of the must participate ceremonies in the whole of the BAPS Hindu Mandir in Abu Dhabi. Almost every night there are 2,000 people who come and participate in this Aarti, and many of them take the holy water and put it upon their heads. Just recently as yesterday, there was a Jewish delegation that came from Israel and America, and they also called me and said that, Your Holiness, this is the most amazing experience that we've had. Like that, we've had the Abu Dhabi police, we've had so many people of so many different religions coming over for darshan, coming over to see the carvings, but again, People wait for the Ganga Aarti. There is something special in the waters of the Ganga. And like you asked, the genesis, well, it wasn't anything that was like a designed or like something that came up because we wanted to create it. No, it was a very natural upcoming. I remember that in 1997, when our spiritual leader Pramukh Swami Maharaj, he was in the deserts of Sharjah, and there was not a drop of water in the desert. There was not a puddle, no lake, and not even an oasis nearby. And of course, the skies were dry. And in that, when Pramukh Swami Maharaj said, may there be a temple in Abu Dhabi and may it bring countries, cultures and religions closer together. Now the genesis of the Ganga Aarti has to be this, because if there was no mandir, there was no Ganga Ghat. And if there was no Ganga Ghat, there would be no Ganga Aarti. So when Pramukh Swami Maharaj prayed, and as times changed, the circumstances changed, and the leadership of Abu Dhabi, I have to really thank them and be grateful for the space in their hearts that they allowed us to make a temple which actually looks like a temple. While my heart reaches out to the leadership there and to also our Prime Minister for his integrity, and our Guru Mahant Swami Maharaj, who inspired us along all the challenges we faced. So when we sat down and in our subsequent meetings with the rulers and the leaders, one of the ideas that generated was that the UAE has the best buildings, the greatest infrastructure, and amazing urban planning. Tourists, people and everybody who come there feel it's like a place to be. We will bring the holiest rivers of India to UAE. So these discussions were going on, but the original genesis has to be traced back to Sarangpur. This will be very, very interesting to all the devotees and also to the historians, that as we were sitting on the steps of Shastriji Maharaj Smriti Mandir, Yajna Purush Smriti Mandir, a special monument or a temple that has been made in the memory of Shastriji Maharaj. And Shastri Maharaj was one of the greatest temple builders, not just our organization has seen, but I would say in the pantheon of spirituality. And he created temples from nothing, and amazing temples. So sitting on that temple steps, that's an idea just came to me, said, if we have to bring rivers, can we bring the Ganga, can we bring the Yamuna and the Saraswati, and the mandir can become the actually Triveni Sangam where the mandir rises. And our architect Michael, he was just sitting next to me, and from the little pencil sketch that I had created, he created the concept with monolithic buildings around the temple, protecting the temple, and the waters of Ganga and Yamuna flowing. So the origin of this has been the inspiration of the prayer of Pramukh Swami, the blessings of Mahant Swami, the eternal blessings of Shastriji Maharaj, and the masterful, thought craft of the architect, and that's how the whole Ganga Aarti came up. But the roots of the Aarti is we decided to bring container loads of Ganga water and container loads of Yamuna water. So it is authentic Ganga water and authentic Yamuna water, and I believe perhaps that's the spiritual charge that everybody experiences when they participate in the Ganga Aarti.
So Swamiji, when I was there, I saw that people from all different religions came together to perform the Ganga Aarti. So in the Abu Dhabi Hindu temple, what has been your experience of people from across the world? I'm sure they would be visiting the temple.
Well, to the fact, the most important thing is that just before the year is up, more than 2 million visitors have come, pilgrims, devotees, tourists or people of all faiths have come. And I think the temple itself has generated so much harmony, as you would have confluence, what would you call Triveni Sangam. that almost 70,000 people from all races, all countries, all backgrounds, all religions have come and placed a brick and shown their support and prayer for the temple. There have been people who are not spiritual at all, who didn't even believe in God, but they believed in the idea of harmony. They have come forward. And I would like to emphasize one fact, that almost 80 ambassadors have come together from different countries, and they have really appreciated the concept and the experience of the mandir. And recently, more than 25 defense attaches, that means people who actually look upon each other with suspicion, word of war, and deal with arms trade and everything. They are the ones who felt that this temple has brought people from all walks of life into a unified form of harmony that humanity needs. So that's the experience of Abu Dhabi.
Thank you, Swamiji, for talking to us in great detail about the concept and the genesis of the Triveni Sangam that you recreated at the Abu Dhabi temple. As you would know, Swami, the Triveni Sangam and the Kumbh are the buzzwords today. Have you personally been to the Triveni Sangam and the Kumbh?
Well, the answer is yes, no. There's an ancient word in the Zen Buddhism which is known as mu. Whenever something is very complicated, the answers the wise people gave was mu. Mu meant yes and no. Yes, it was in 1998. We had gone to Haridwar just to observe the preparation of the Kumbh. But unfortunately, I was not able to visit the Kumbh during the holy constellation. And that was always in my heart and always bugging me that I would need to go. I was traveling at that time. And this time, just a couple of days back, I was at the Kumbh. So I had the great experience of the Kumbh and the holy dip. So the answer is yes, no.
So, Swami, it's an experience. Everyone who's gone there talks about the Kumbh and their experiences. And the numbers, if we look at it, are mind-boggling. For you being there personally, can you talk to us about being part of such a large gathering and what you felt while being there?
Well, truly the numbers are mind-boggling, staggering, and impossible to even comprehend. What do I mean? Just look at it. It's already been talked about as the largest gathering of human beings anywhere on this earth, perhaps in the history of humanity. Almost 450 million people will be coming to the Triveni Sangam for the holy dip. You know what 450 million people means? The population of USA and Canada combined is about 400 million. This is US and Canada combined plus 50 million more. The population of Russia is 1/3 of what the Kumbh will have. So it's almost 3 times Russia coming down to have just a holy dip at one place. It's almost 2/3 of the whole of Europe. And the numbers are so staggering that this means almost 10 million people every day over 45 days. But wait for it. On important days when the constellation is absolutely right and the stars have aligned to a new degree, those important dates, the crowds just swell. On Moni Amavasya, known as the most holiest of the moment, the state is expecting around 100 million people on one day to come and take a holy dip. That means take the United Kingdom, the entire population, double it, twice the United Kingdom coming on one day, traveling and coming and taking a holy dip. And to actually cater to all this, the UP government and all the people, agencies involved have created a bank and fortified a bank almost 18 kilometers long. More than 150,000 makeshift toilets have been created. And imagine the sanitation, the food facilities, the daily chores that you have to do. Imagine the hygiene, the cleanliness, the security. Everything has been placed. Almost 50,000 police officers and 20,000 more officers. That means 70,000 people are serving day and night for this huge event. So the numbers are staggering, unimaginable. But you can read about the Kumbh, you can write about the Kumbh, but experiencing the Kumbh is another ball game. Completely different ball game. Nothing does justice to what the experience of the Kumbh is. And I personally will tell you that when I went there, and of course it was very deep in my heart to go there, and I remembered that Pramukh Swami had visited the Triveni Sangam at different times. Our Guru Yogiji Maharaj himself had visited. Bhagwan Swaminarayan also had visited the entire, holy sites. But I wanted to emphasize one fact. When I personally went there, and as we went on a boat and we went to the main place where you could literally see the dark waters of Yamuna and the brighter waters of Ganga uniting, and the mysterious Saraswati, which is the hidden river, exactly coming there, which I could not see differentiate visibly, but as that entire environment was there, and we plunged in and walked in and we sat down and had a bath, it was ethereal. It was completely out of this world. And I want to tell all the listeners that there are moments in your life which are defining moments. That the whole life, converges into that moment, and you suddenly emerge as a different, new, you reinvent yourself. It's like you feel completely new. So I felt that all my past, all my, challenges or difficulties or little things that I had in my own heart, even as a monk, when you pass along, there's so many things that come in your heart which you want to get rid of, and you want to overcome your own weaknesses. And I felt everything was just peeling away.
Wow.
And all the people that I loved, like Pramukh Swami Maharaj, Mahan Swami Maharaj, all the great Sadguru saints and all the devotees and everybody whom I loved, they started emerging naturally. It was not that I had to make an effort to remember. So as if I was completely freed from the past, and I was surrounded by an entire environment of love. And I just sat in prayers, and I completely emerged out so refreshed and so spiritually rejuvenated. The experience was very, very deep, and I am by default a great believer and a great dreamer, but I believe this was a great experience. I have been to many, many pilgrim places. I've been to the Gangotri, where the origins of the Ganga, the Yamunotri, to Kedar, Badri, to even Mansarovar, to Muktinath. Standing before Mount Kailash, that's another a league apart experience. The Mansarovar experience, because of its connection with Bhagwan Swaminarayan as Nilkanthwani, it's another deep experience. But similarly, this was a very, very deep experience, and I believe that every individual who has come must have had that experience. So according to me, the Kumbh is just not numbers. It's not just a statistic. Do not look at the Kumbh as a super organized group of things. People ask that, how did you invite all these people? There were no invitations sent out, and 450 million people come voluntarily, willingly.
Right.
According to me, it's a celebration of, your own love, your own will. It's a celebration of faith.
Right.
Because I have seen, it was like a perpetual moment, the immortal moment that never ends. At 3 o'clock in the morning, I saw thousands and thousands of people just walking like a flood of human river. Wow. Just walking, carrying all their luggage on their heads. And people had come without planning where to stay. People had come without planning for their food. People had come without even planning where they would rest.
Really?
They came completely in faith. I have seen them, and this is not an experience I've read about now. I've seen them just going with faith, walking with faith, not like zombies. Mark me. And even at night, I was up till 2 o'clock, and even at night, I saw people just walking, but they're all happy and smiling. If I wanted to rephrase the Kumbh, it's like even in a crowd, every face was calm.
Oh, that's a
Even in millions, nobody was pushing and jostling and hurting anybody. Like people were walking and not stepping on anybody's toes. So according to me, the Kumbh is a celebration of deep faith. The police told us that one young youth, he carried his father from 51 kilometers on his shoulders so that his father could have a dip in the holy waters at the right time.
that is incredible.
And but more incredible is people in wheelchairs, and little mothers and other people bringing the little children so they could be even sprinkle the holy water. It was an amazing scenario that was in constant flux. That people were just walking with faith and with one single devotion is going into the Kumbh and letting their past go. When I asked a few people, they told me that everything I have heard, every mistakes I've made, I wanted to just let it go with the holy waters of the Ganga. That means their hates, their hurts, their prejudice, their biases, just letting them go. And there were people who wanted to do something in the memory of their forefathers. So they did that. Of course, I didn't ask everybody, but there were people who came with their own prayers. So everybody came with faith. But I also believe the Kumbh is also a celebration of equality. What do I mean by equality?
Yeah.
Is you had the highest and the most enlightened sadhus, the great gurus who have followers in the numbers of thousands and hundreds of thousands across the world. They would camp in equality with all other great gurus, the spiritual leaders. And then all their devotees would come, and their devotees were not restricted just to their own camps, own shivirs. The devotees could go from a guru to a guru to a guru to a guru. Okay? And they were allowed. It was almost an amazing celebration of equality where there were no highs and no lows. The rich came off their, private planes and they came into their cars and they started walking towards the ghat. The great gurus walked equally with them to the ghat. The simple poorer people walked shoulder to shoulder in their ghat. And again, I want to say, even in that crowd, if cars are passing, nobody has slammed a car.
That's unheard of, really.
It's completely unheard of. You go to an urban society and you have a car and there's honking and there is, people feel uncomfortable, but the cars would equally pass through with the people. And I myself, when I was in the crowds going for the dip and going from a shivir to another, meeting the holy leaders and all the devotees, I did not see a single angry face. I didn't hear a single shout. There was no scuffle, no fight, and everybody was out to help one another. So, and also amongst the great spiritual leaders and the leaders or the smaller leaders, there was not an iota of jealousy that mine is better, the others is lower, nothing. Everybody felt so comfortable. And the greatest of the great welcomed the smallest of the small. So if anybody tells you that there is discrimination in Hinduism and they bring out this, the issue of caste, they bring out the issue of so many sampradayas, they bring out the issue of, different beliefs and different philosophies from those who believe God is formless, those who believe God has had form, those who actually just believe in rituals and know God. All those differences are all academic. But I saw all of them walking together and accepting one another, and it was an amazing environment. If I had to put it in a short phrase, it was a true democracy of faiths and beliefs.
Very, very well put, Swami.
Because I tell you, imagine, I don't think I can imagine any other religion with all the splinter groups, because every religion has small subgroups and subsections and substreams. And I don't think all the substreams and subgroups can gather at one place at one moment and be so friendly to one another. And so again, emphasizing it's a celebration of faith, it's a celebration of equality, but it's also a celebration of devotion. And you may ask him, Swami, what do you mean by devotion? Somebody told me, and I did see small huts everywhere. And inside there were not saints or sages staying in those huts.
Okay.
They were actually householders who had decided to stay away from their family for 45 days and perform austerities, like just eating once in a day, just fruits. Then having a bath in the holy river means walking for miles and miles for hours to take a dip. Then praying for more than 5 times in a day, okay? And for hours and hours. When I say 5 times, it's not just 1, 2, 3. It's 1 hour, once another 2 hours, 3 hours, and spending the days and nights for 45 days in just devotion.
Wow.
And those are known as kalpavasis.
Achha.
And they were in more than, somebody told me about 150,000.
Wow.
Kalpavasis were there. And then all the sadhus, they were meditating. And there were sadhus who had great mutts, and there were sadhus who were on the streets. Never look at the Hindu sadhus as beggars who have nothing with them. They have a heart which is richer than billionaires. I encountered one. I was walking across, going from one pandal to another pandal, and in a small, thatched, hut-like place, there was a sadhu from the Naga tradition, and he was seated there. There was a little fire in front of him. He literally had nothing around him, nothing on his body. The whole body was smeared with ash. And I sat down very quietly, and somebody introduced and said, Mahatma Ji, this Swami, he's the one who has been instrumental in making the Abu Dhabi temple. And the joy on his face, he has nothing, but he can celebrate other people's successes or work. That we have lost in this world.
Yeah. True.
We can be happy for a sake or a reason, but to be happy when you have nothing and happy for somebody who has done something. He straight away took some ash and smeared it on my forehead, and then he turned around to somebody and said, please bring tea for the Mahatma.
Wow.
He had nothing on his body, nothing around him, and still he had a heart to actually serve us. You understand? In this world of plenty, why are we so empty?
Yes.
I always think, in this world of plenty, why is our heart so empty? Here I saw a tradition that was rich from within. So anybody who goes to the Kumbh will feel this equality, will feel this generosity, will feel this faith in a completely different way. So it's a celebration of true humanity, and almost just imagine, 1/18th of the world, okay, 1/18th of the world is there at one point, and they are celebrating everything in such harmony.
Right.
So this is my experience of the Kumbh.
As you mentioned, you would have met a lot of sannyasis and visitors who came to the Mahakumbh. Can you shed more light on some of the interactions you had with them?
Well, in this little journey, mine wasn't a long journey, and there are people who have stayed for weeks, 10 days, or even the whole 45 days.
Oh.
So they would have a deeper experience, but in my 3 days journey, I had the great spiritual benefit of meeting some of the wisest spiritual sannyasis who are actually overseeing the Kumbh as well.
Okay.
So I had the privilege of meeting Swami Avdeshanandji. Though he was surrounded by thousands of his devotees, he not only welcomed us, but he deeply appreciated the spiritual work that's going on in Abu Dhabi and the work of harmony. And we communicated to him the spiritual prayers of our Guru Mahan Swami Maharaj. And again, like I said, everybody, it's not just like a new year, but everybody is so happy to meet everybody from every sampradaya.
Right.
So he insisted that we should have food, but it was just love, love and love. And my similar experience with Swami Kailashanandji, and he's also one of the most prominent sannyasis of the Kumbh. And he also shared his love, and he showed his expression that he wants to visit the Akshardhams and also the Abu Dhabi temple. So in a way, I want to highlight it's actually genuine dialogue with action in mind.
Right.
It's not just the goody goody exchanges, no. It's real work, real seva that we can all do together.
Right.
So it's very important that we ourselves understand that it is actually sharing of ideas, sharing of beliefs, and also sharing of love.
Right.
In that way, we also met Sampurnanand Swamiji, and he is a very young sannyasi, a brahmachari, and very high up in the order of their akhada. And he was again so frank, so loving, and he actually enlightened us in the methods of the Kumbh.
Oh.
You know, he shared that every sannyasi, you know, they come because they know this is the time of the Kumbh. So they come and they all emerge in thousands and hundreds of thousands. There's no invitations. But at every Kumbh time, they come and re-register themselves in the particular sampradaya or the akhada they are.
Oh.
So we think it's just a chaotic gathering of people. It isn't. Just because you and we and us, we don't know the systems which are traditionally followed, and we don't know them, that's why we think people just arrived at certain time, went at certain time. So all these things I have personally learned, and I've also learned one thing which I often say, that you could be anybody, but when you see millions of people with so much faith, then nobody has a right on this earth to be arrogant. We are such a small, minuscule part of this entire creation.
Right.
And when we've gathered to appreciate the creation of God and the faith in God, so every spiritual leader, enlightened leader, are absolutely equal in sharing their love and affection. And at the same time, the amazing thing I also saw, that the administration, they were not just doing their duty,
Right.
they went a step ahead.
Can
It
you
was-
talk a bit about that?
Yeah. They went a step ahead. It was like devotion. The collector, Ravindraji, he was with us till 2 o'clock at night,
Oh.
you know, and even when his car was stuck, he did not shove people away, because he told us that, Swami, it's in my heart that everybody who comes should have that opportunity for the holy dip.
It's very rare.
And
Such.
he says, I stay up till 2 o'clock, I wake up at early morning 4 o'clock, just 2 or 3 hours of sleep for all 45 days. The families, they have families, but they are out to serve. The police officer that we met, you know, ACP Sharma, he said that normally the police are trained to look at everybody with suspicion. In the Kumbh, they look at everybody with auspiciousness, with trust and faith,
Yeah.
how they can help. So, you know, imagine 450 million strangers, and the officers love each one of them.
Wow.
You know, can you see, even one person you don't know, you feel a little threatened by them and you feel uncomfortable. Even in a train compartment you're sitting in and somebody unknown comes in, you feel restless.
Right.
Here's a Kumbh of 450 million completely strangers.
Right.
And you don't know when they came and how they're going to go, where they're going to stay. And I want to say, even the administration, and I would say hats off to the government of India, our Prime Minister and his entire team, the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, and hats off to him and the police and the administrations and everybody who has volunteered, because they work around the clock so people can feel comfortable. And nobody has gone back from the Kumbh hungry or sleepless. They've gone back so nicely. So I feel the experience of everybody that I've met, one citizen that we met, he's so enlightened. He's known as Prayag Putra.
Oh.
Every sadhu, everybody on the street call him Prayag Putra, a very learned man. His name is Rakesh Shuklaji. He has been with us even at 2 o'clock at night, 3 o'clock in the morning, even when we were setting up our small camp. And he has been there, but he showed me pictures where he guided a group of blind people and going to the Kumbh for bathing. Blind people have come in this crowd
And they've managed them as
and
well.
they've managed. And he took them, he found a very old sadhu who he said must be about 110, 120 years old, just sitting there so calmly. And he goes around at night giving them blankets and all the facilities that been created by the administration and by voluntary organizations, by spiritual organizations, is completely selfless. So imagine a selfless administration.
Wow.
Imagine selfless people coming in without any expectations, and imagine the experience you have when you just go back even more selfless. So it's all considered a punya to feed, to clothe, to help people in this kumbh. It's an amazing environment. So these are my some experiences that I have had with the people that I've met.
Swamiji does not seem like once in a lifetime, but once in many lifetime experience. I must say, from what you are telling, it's very unique to find such an environment, such a confluence of people, and truly seems like Hinduism in action. And the traditions that you talk about registering the names from years gone by, and the Kumbh has been on for so many years, maybe centuries, and there is a science behind it. So, can you, for the benefit of our viewers, talk a bit about the science and what the Kumbh signifies?
Well, since you asked me about science and the significance of the Kumbh, first of all, let me tell you, I am no expert, but I have had the great fortune of having proximity with the experts. I remember just now, suddenly out of the blue, I remember Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, our former president, the most loved and the most popular president India has ever had, and somebody whose memory I also treasure in my own heart. And when he had come to meet His Holiness Pramukh Swami Maharaj, my spiritual leader, and odd enough, how communication works, it works beyond language. He never knew Gujarati and Pramukh Swami never knew English, and yet they became the best of friends. Pramukh Swami often always told him that you yourself are like a Rushi, because our great sages, many of them never married and they had long hair, and they were also scientists. That's what Pramukh Swami used to say.
Yes.
And after their search through science, they discovered the truths of spirituality. So Pramukh Swami had always emphasized that. And what Kalam often said, I see it being portrayed in this Kumbh. He used to say that what our country needs for rejuvenation is Punya Neta. The leader has to be benign, auspicious.
Right.
Then Punya Adhikari. The officers have to be also benign and auspicious. And Punya Atma. The individuals have to be benign and auspicious. Look at the Kumbh. Look at the Kumbh.
It's truly in action.
Yes, the entire story is in action. That even the leadership have that great faith in the Kumbh. Even the officers look at it as devotion and not duty. And of course, the magic of faithful people who have just come with sheer faith, expecting nothing, and to give their all. It's an amazing environment of the Kumbh. And let me come back and focus on the science, as you said. For long, I've always been thinking that science and spirituality, from maybe a philosophical point of view or also a scientific point of view, may be at loggerheads on the outside.
Yeah.
But in Hinduism, science and spirituality are the two sides of the same coin.
In what way, Swami?
Let me explain that, this is according to me, from all that little experiences that I have had and as I've moved across in society and I have studied. Science begins with studying the outside world, whether it's nature, whether it's pure chemistry, studying the properties of things, whether it's pure biology, studying the body, the organs, and the heart, the blood, and everything, and trying to improve the health, or studying the cosmos from outside.
Right.
But as science goes deeper and deeper from outside, it is moving inwards now. Now, science is telling us that just as our body and organs are important for the well-being and health, mind is equally important.
Right.
You could eat the best of foods, but if your mind is disturbed,
Yes.
the body suffers.
Yeah.
They say more than 90% of diseases are psychosomatic. So from going outside, now science is entering inwards. Well, our Rishi Munis and those who are spiritually enlightened, they studied their minds and their souls focused. And they started studying what disturbs my mind, what disturbs my soul, how can I become more purified, how can I become more sharp, how can I become more inclusive. All those ideas they started focusing through meditation and contemplation. And from that, they started studying the nature of the universe. They started studying nature. They could communicate with birds, animals. They could communicate with nature and feel one. So it was a movement that began inward, and in that they included the entire outward.
Right.
And how does it really relate to the Kumbh? That's why I wanted to say that in our ancient scriptures, it is so easily mentioned that the great rishis, the sages who were enlightened, they had the ability of durdarshan. They could sit at one place and they could actually see what's happening at a distance through their spiritual energies. The great stories in the entire Mahabharata, Sanjay saw it.
Right.
And we can see it's like almost like Doordarshan.
Yes.
We have invented scientific instruments like television and cameras to actually broadcast,
Yes.
from one end to the other end. But the Rishiminis had this ability of Doordarshan. Durshravan. Now mobiles and telephones give us the ability to hear something that's gone in the far distances of the earth. The Rishiminis could do that. There's also this idea mentioned of astral traveling, that a Rishimuni could be on one planet and because of his meditation, because of his spiritual energies, he could connect with planetary systems, he could understand, observe. And the Kumbh is perhaps one of the significant proofs, because the Rishimunis have not mentioned the date. They have just said in the constellation, and as they studied the skies, that when Jupiter, which is known as Guru or Bruhaspati, when it comes in the Kumbh constellation, that's Aquarius, and when such a constellation and such alignment of stars happen, that's when the Kumbh is done. So now you're looking for a hand clock? No, anybody looks at the skies and studies the astronomical skies will know now this is the time for the Kumbh. Let me go to Prayag, or let me go to Haridwar, let me go to Ujjain, and let me go to Nasik.
Yes.
So if you look at the whole tradition of Kumbh, there is the Kumbh that is done in either four of these places which are known as holy, and there is the Ardha Kumbh, then there is the Purna Kumbh. So Ardha Kumbh happens every 6 years, plus or minus half a year or so according to the constellation, because the years that we measure are all solar.
Yes.
And the calendar that the Hindus actually invented is lunar. So you will have that differences, and sometimes a whole year has to be sacrificed to align everything.
Yeah.
So that's all science, and I don't want to go deep into that. But then there would be the Purna Kumbh that comes every 12 years. The Kumbh that is happening right now, it's Mahakumbh. That only happens every 144 years. When 12 Purna Kumbhs pass, you get the Mahakumbh. And why is that? They say that 6 planets align. Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, and also the Sun and the Moon. When such a planetary, it's also called the planetary parade. So if you look at the skies as they are there, it'll lift up your entire, you'll get goosebumps.
Yes.
I did when I look at it, and I still encourage people that whenever you get this chance, have a look. And when you look at that, by just looking at it, if you get goosebumps, and it is said that at such a time, the holy waters of Ganga are already holy, and the holy waters of Yamuna are already holy. When the holy waters of Saraswati all three unite at Triveni Sangam, and this Mahakumbh is happening, and all the stars have aligned, the water is so spiritually charged that it has the power to completely transform you. And it feels that way, and that's the little science behind the kumbh that we see. But keeping that science in its own way, it's also a feeling that when 500 million people go and they're all thinking positive and they love each one of them, love one another, I think that also generates such an environment.
Yes.
It generates such an environment of faith, love, and spirituality. And that's why reading about the Kumbh in your own room, writing about the Kumbh from some distant place, and being in the Kumbh environment is the environment that envelops you, and that's the magic that happens. So this is the small science, I believe, of the Kumbh, but I also believe that our Puranas were right. Why do I say that? Though they have been said in a form of stories, I can take an historical event right now and write a poem about it. Then is that poem not a fact? Is based on truth. I've written it in poetry format. I can write it in English, I can write it in Hindi, I can write it in Russian. Does it have to be just written in one language? No, you can change languages. I can write it in Sanskrit and create musical stanzas. It does not mean that the fact is not true. Why I say that our Rishi Munis, thousands of years ago, they predicted all these movements of the stars. They did not have telescopes. They did not have calculators. They did not have any systems. There must have been a system that connected their soul and the mind. What is AI doing now? AI is completely connecting minds. They say in current times, AI will make the world so transparent that people will know everything about everyone. It will be like fitting in 100 million Buddhas in one heart. How benign the world be. It will be like fitting in 100 million Einsteins in one brain. How intellectual it would be. So I just wanted to emphasize, we now believe AI can do anything. Correct?
Yes, that's a
Yes.
revolution.
We say now AI will be able to download your dreams, so all your past will be collected and you'll be completely fresh with your past, which we are trying to forget. Okay. The Rishi Munis had mastered the energies of their soul and their mind, where they could connect with stars, they could connect with people, nature, and everything, and they predicted the exact movement of the stars without any so-called instruments we know. So I believe that their sadhana, meaning their spiritual endeavors, gave them that energy, and when they said this is something that you should do, when Einstein says E equals mc square, you and I don't have the capacity to understand how. We just believe that fusion and fission happens and we see the result. So when the Rishi Munis gave us this formula, on the Kumbh day, you go to Triveni Sangam and you have a bath and you will feel really energized. You go and do it and you feel that. You may not need to know how it happens, but it does happen. That is the pure science that I personally see. The belief in our tradition just becomes deeper and stronger. And that's what really makes this Kumbh so special. Even the story of the Kumbh, which is in our scriptures, of when Samudra Manthan was going on and 14 Ratnas, the jewels that came out, and one of them, the final was the Amrit Kumbh. And when the Amrit Kumbh was taken away by the Devatas, and it is said that the 4 drops that dropped from the skies, from the heavens, one drop was in Prayag, one drop of this immortal nectar was in Haridwar, one drop was in Nasik, and one drop was in Ujjain. That's why these 4 places are the chosen places. And perhaps that's why it gets the name Kumbh.
Right.
Kumbhs are only done in, perhaps it's the Kumbh of nectar, or perhaps because the Jupiter's movement is in Kumbh Rashi, it might be Kumbh. But whatever the origin of the name is, it has a Puranic katha, which some people might just shoo it away as legend. But I believe that the Rishi Munis have created all these, kathas in a way to actually help us understand the truths behind it.
Yes, yes, I totally agree with you. The way they were able to calculate at that point in time, someone from just a scientific mind and a finite view of the world won't be able to understand comprehensively the unboundedness of the knowledge that our rishis had. Thank you, Swamiji, for simplifying for us the science and significance of the Mahakumbh. I've heard that there is enormous mention in the scriptures of what you experience when you are at such pilgrim places. Can you share with us the one thing that you value most among those mentions?
Well, the scriptures are completely brimming with the great glory of all the pilgrim places. And according to me, every pilgrim place of every religion abounds with spiritual energy. I remember Pramukh Swami Maharaj visiting the Wailing Wall in Jerusalem, and the way people were praying. Pramukh Swami also said a prayer that may all the prayers which have been said in the past, may they be answered, and the prayers which will be said in the future, may they be answered. Pramukh Swami also visited Vatican. Pramukh Swami has visited some of the most intense spiritual places on this earth. Even Mahan Swami Maharaj visited the Grand Mosque, and every spiritual place and every pilgrim place mentioned in the scriptures of that particular religion, according to me, has spiritual energy. The Hindu Dharma describes pilgrim places. This is what I value really the most. The Hindu scriptures describe spiritual places as of two types, Sthavar and Jangam. Sthavar means stationary, those which are places, and those which have monuments, temples, and other things around that which are immobile.
Right.
Jangam means mobile. Now, can you ever imagine a mobile spiritual pilgrim place? You know, clarifying that, the Shastras say a true enlightened Satpurush or a true enlightened saint, he is a Jangam spiritual place,
Okay.
Jangam Tirth. And they go on to say that at his feet are the 68 pilgrim places of the world.
Oh.
So such are his footprints that they bring holiness. So this was always read in the scriptures, and when we went for the centenary celebrations of Swami Shivanand in Shivanand Ashram, which was actually overseen by His Holiness Swami Chidanand Saraswati ji. What a holy saint, what a spiritual saint. And naturally your heart and your head would bow down to such a saint. And I remember on the stage in front of hundreds and hundreds of saints and thousands of devotees, Swami Chidanand Swami closed his eyes and he said, and I'm exactly reliving that moment, that today in our assembly we have His Holiness Pramukh Swami Maharaj, and when Pramukh Swami Maharaj comes, with him come all the pilgrim places of our nation. When Pramukh Swami comes, with him come all the holy rivers. When Pramukh Swami Maharaj comes, it brings the holy energies of the universe. Now Chidanand Swami is saying this for another spiritual leader. And I believe that such spiritual saints are pilgrim places, and they have the power to give you that experience of the Kumbh.
Yes, true.
And in the Kumbh, people are searching for such enlightened saints as well. And also the enlightened saints are searching for the right spiritual devotees as well, and that's where the spark of faith happens.
Yes.
So I have seen Pramukh Swami Maharaj close up, and I've experienced that. Just as in a holy place, your mind completely changes, your soul is elevated, and you actually transcend past, present, and future. You are in that immortal moment.
Right.
So many people have experienced that. Even in the presence of Mahan Swami Maharaj, there have been people who have come and they've sat in presence of Mahan Swami Maharaj, and Mahan Swami has not said a single word. And the people feel that I have been cleansed.
Just silence.
Just silence, but they feel they have been cleansed, they have been purified. So such experiences are there. And the inclusiveness, the generosity of the saints are incredible. It is in the Triveni Sangam. At that time, the name of the city was Allahabad. Currently, it is Prayag. And it was in Prayag that Pramukh Swami was there in the year 1986.
Oh.
And a lot of devotees had come from, and they were devotees of not just Swaminarayan devotees, so many other devotees who had come for a big religious event in the area. And the person or the travel agent who had booked their bus did not really bring the food that the devotees would eat, and they were compelling them to eat outside. And the devotees had brought food for 5 days, but their trip was again still for 25 more days. And when they met Pramukh Swami, and it was the day of Ekadashi, and there was just little food, and Swami asked that, have you eaten? And they said, Swami, this is our big problem. We are fixed with this travel and the bus. We have nothing to eat, and we are forced to eat outside in restaurants, which we believe we should not eat. But what should we do? Out of amazing generosity, you know, a saint, when he gives all. He called his sevaks, Pramukh Swami Maharaj, and he told the sevaks that whatever food we have, because while they were traveling, of maybe 25, 30 people who were traveling with Pramukh Swami, they had brought food for the morning snacks and breakfast, which would last a few days, you know, food that lasts a week or so. He said, give all that food we have to all these devotees and let them feed the whole bus. It's not just about few, me and mine. Let them feed the whole bus. We will find something somewhere.
He gave everything?
Everything means everything. And this became a topic of discussion, you know, when they give. So such saints, you know, they believe and live for others. And I've seen that in Pramukh Swami in such and so many ways. And that's why in that league, that the BAPS Sanstha is always at the forefront of serving everybody, whether it's the earthquake, whether it's the floods in Morbi, whether it's the tsunami in South India, and whether it's the Ukraine war. They're always there, even in this Mahakumbh. We have a very small pandal, it's in about 2 acres of land, but you come there, everybody is served meal. And those who want to stay, there are certain facilities for people to stay overnight. They can go and bathe, they can come in. There is yagna, there is morning katha, there is sadhana, people do mada. And almost every day 5,000 people are fed, and on special days more than 10,000 people are fed, and the sadhus, they stand and serve food. So this tradition, of course, it's not such a huge facility we've created. This was the first time, but it's in the lines that His Holiness Pramukh Swami or Mahan Swami would want us to do, and that's why we are serving. But again, the closest thing to my heart is that there is the Sthavar Tirth, the stationary, immobile Tirth that doesn't move, and there is the Jangam Tirth, the mobile. So the saint has the power, the enlightened saint has the power to give the prowess of spirituality to a pilgrim place.
Swamiji, it was truly a wonderful and enlightening experience to listen to you, to hear your experiences. In the concluding part of the podcast, is there anything else that you want to share with our viewers and our listeners?
Since you've said conclusion, I will say there is actually so much to share, but I'll make it quickly and make it really brief. Personally, I feel that in this world that we live, we are so conscious about air pollution, we are so conscious about noise pollution, we are so conscious about water pollution, we are so conscious about, so many different things like plastics and things like that, which is very, very important and essential for the safety of the planet. Right. And I think you can't argue about it. It's there, and human beings are responsible.
Yes.
No other animal is doing all this and creating waste that is actually engulfing the world.
Yes.
So we are so conscious about that. I feel in one way, the Kumbh, coming back to everything that I've said, imagine the largest gathering of human beings. You gather at one point, 1/16th of the world. That gathers as one point, 500 million people. They're coming in their own way, willingly. And when they come in with faith, they are actually feeling cleansed from inside. It's not about, I don't think I saw anybody with soap, cleaning his body. It's about cleaning your inside.
Yes.
And they're coming in with faith. So now imagine the contribution to the global world in a global scale. If you have 500 million people coming in, letting go of their past hates and hurts, their prejudice, letting go of all the things that disturb their mind, deep depressions and everything, and suddenly coming out and walking with intense faith of being good. There are no universities and there are no government schemes. Even the health benefits, they can't actually take away the deep hurts that we have that psychologically disturb the human beings.
True.
And naturally and instantly, 450 million people feel that they want to be better human beings without all our normal media and all that. And in a way, people might see the Kumbh as a massive, chaotic gathering of people, but there's order in this chaos. There's self-order.
Right.
There's internal discipline. Like I said, nobody stepped on anybody's toes and nobody shouted. Everybody walked with patience, and they still do, and they go home. And when they go home, they share the goodness. They take, small containers of Ganga water and sprinkle it to the neighborhood. So it's not just limited to 450 million people.
It's
It
even more.
reaches out to millions and millions and more. Like me and you discussing, it goes in different ways to so many people. So I feel it's a massive cleansing of the human spirit.
Right.
It's more than just a festival. It's no longer limited to the Hindu festival alone. Everybody should feel that if such a thing happens, have we not made the world a better place?
Truly.
Have we
Yes.
not made the world a better place?
Yes.
And I believe that the Kumbh is not just limited to a ritual, not just a celebration. It's about celebrating human life, humanity, and it's a bridge between human beings and the divine. And all these people who are coming this, I do believe that it's a great, great event. More than an event, it's a great experience of personal, individual cleansing in a mass way.
Yes.
That is the Kumbh. And I also feel those who have not been to the Kumbh, they should not feel guilty, because the Triveni Sangam is there and the waters are holy. You can go anytime. Even during the year, you can go and take a holy dip with the same feeling and the same heart and the same condition. Of course, the weather may be cold, but your heart will be warm. It
Very
will
well
be
put.
full of love.
Yes.
And imagine so many people going back with love, breaking free from the past, building a future. I think if you can't go to the Kumbh, even during this next year or 2 years in your lifetime, then going to a mandir nearby, any mandir, any faith you believe in, that is like a Kumbh. Or meeting an enlightened saint, or meeting him, trusting him, and learning from him genuinely, itself is an experience.
Yes.
So I request everybody that if you have missed the Kumbh, do not feel bad about it, because you can have that experience through a saint, through a temple, so far as your heart is willing and it has reached that level. Thank you for having me, and thank you for allowing me to express my thoughts with all the freedom that I could imagine. And my prayers for every listener, and prayers for all the people who have participated in this great Mahakumbh.
Thank you, Swamiji. This was a conversation with Pujya Brahmavihari Swamiji, who talked about the divinity of the Mahakumbh and his experiences there. We started our conversation by talking about the Triveni Sangam that has been recreated at the Abu Dhabi temple, and we ended it by exploring the Triveni Sangam at Prayagraj. Thank you for joining us. Jai Swami Narayan.